most of our sex education, unfortunately, is through porn. And all we see on there is guys usually with pretty big dicks that never go soft. They're always ready, even after they've climaxed, still hard, ready to go. We never see a guy going soft in a porn movie. And then general movies on TV, romance movies, etc., all feed into this vision, internal vision of this is what sex should look like. This is the kind of intimacy that I should be able to deliver as a man.
Hello and welcome to Real Men Feel. I'm your host, Andy Grant. Today we're talking about something that almost every man experiences at some point, but no one wants to talk about out loud. Erectile dysfunction, sexual performance anxiety, and the fear that something is wrong with us. My guest today is Shay Doran, a coach who helps men overcome sexual performance anxiety, rebuild confidence, and restore intimacy without shame or awkwardness. Shay lived this experience himself. He believed he was broken, tried all the quick fixes, stayed stuck on the surface until he realized the root issue wasn't medical, it was mindset. Today, Shay is going to help us understand why so many suffer in silence, why ED is rarely just about the body, and how to start feeling normal again in the bedroom and in your life. If you've ever struggled or loved someone who has, this conversation might change the way you see yourself. And if you want to continue conversations like this, join our private community, Authentic AF, at realmenfeel.org/group. Let's do it. Hello, Shay, and welcome to Real Men Feel.
Thanks, Andy. Thank you for having me here.
I know that it was your own challenges and journey that got you into this line of work. Can you share a little bit about what life used to be like for you?
Sure. So specific to performance anxiety and erection challenges, life used to be very challenging in this area of sex and intimacy. So for many years, through really bad relationship with porn and with sex, having sex a lot of the time for validation, things really, as a result of that, and the pressure and the stress stacking from that, and also external things outside of that area of intimacy, it led to erection challenges and experiencing performance anxiety. These what if things don't go to plan? What if I can't satisfy my partner? What if I end up alone because of this? All of these thoughts were in my head for a very long time. Many things did not go to plan in the bedroom for a long while, and going on the journey of getting that sorted is then eventually what led me to the work that I'm doing today.
So what did you believe about yourself back then that turned out to not be true?
We're going to have some deep questions today. I can already feel this. Okay, what did I believe about myself? I believed that something was wrong with me. I believed that I wasn't normal. And I believed that, everybody else was fine and that the issue was just with me. So something was really wrong with me.
Was that the hardest part? Admitting to yourself that something was wrong, or was it something else?
I think the hardest part was probably in stages. Actually, the hardest part was speaking to somebody about it. That was the hardest part. Because for years, I said nothing. I wanted to be able to get it all fixed for myself. I thought I'd be able to just fix it all by myself. You know, as men, we don't often want to talk about these things. We don't really want to help. We just want to be able to get it done. And this feels very vulnerable. This area feels very vulnerable. So I remember I'd be on programs or even group Zoom meetings, but still I was never vocal about what was going on. I would just be sitting there in the background. And I think probably the hardest first step was speaking to somebody about it, vocalizing it for the first time, that this is actually a challenge that's going on in my life and I don't know what to do.
Do most men decide oh, I'm broken after just one or two experiences, or does it take a lot more than that? What's the typical decision of a guy that something's wrong?
So there's one thing which is about how we get to that point in the first place, which I believe is a combination of things. It's never usually from experience, just one thing that happens that means that things don't go to plan in the bedroom. It may seem like that, some guys that I speak with can pinpoint, it happened on this exact date this year. But the reality is that we're looking at ourselves through a performance lens in other areas of our life, business, broader sense of relationship, not just sex. So there's that. And then also, usually the seeds of performance anxiety are planted at a much younger age, right? So whether it's in sports, whether it's in academics, theatre, comparison to siblings, there's these messages that are given to us of, well, we need to do better in that area, or yes, okay, you might have messed that up, but make sure you don't mess that up next time. It needs to be a better grade next time. And so we start to believe, oh, I'm not loved for being myself. I need to be this performative version of myself in order to receive love. This is where I believe it starts at its earliest stage, answering your question, where does the thoughts of what if I'm broken, where do they start? I believe it starts at a very young age, usually in areas that are nothing to do with sex. And then as we grow and start becoming sexually active, we can have some experiences that don't go to plan, right? Whether that's from right from the beginning of when we lost our virginity, or whether it's later on in our life, and this has seemed to start becoming a challenge more recently. But there's experiences that don't go to plan. And then when that's compounded over a period of time, whether that's months or years, often it's years, this is when these beliefs that we have around, oh, what if something's wrong with me, start to become, well, sorry, the questions that we have around what if something's wrong with me start to become beliefs. Something is wrong with me. So I would say it's usually a sequence of events over a period of time.
Does that performative aspect of being a man, does that serve us in some aspects of life, or does it serve us to a certain point, or what do you think about that?
A very good question. I think it does serve us in ambition. It serves in many of the guys that I speak with are either in senior positions, or they have their own businesses, or they're very driven. They have certain goals, things that they want to achieve. So the performative mindset definitely plays into that. But I think there is a tipping point where it then becomes about self, like we're constantly observing ourselves, expecting ourselves to be this unnatural, often version of ourselves.
I know you make a difference and distinction between a mindset problem and a medical problem.
Mhm.
Could you share what that distinction is?
Yeah, sure. So it's really important that if we're experiencing performance anxiety, whether that's erection challenges or climax challenges, that we tick that medical box, first of all, to make sure there's nothing going on there, right? So whether that is cardiovascular issues or testosterone issues, there, multiple things could be happening, but it's important that we just go and visit primary caregiver, get testosterone levels checked, bloods checked to make sure everything's okay. Right? We want to definitely make sure we're ticking that box first, the medical box. Most of the times it's not medical, it's mindset, which is performance anxiety. So if we're asking ourselves these questions, if we know that everything's fine medically, and yet we feel like we're stuck in our head, overthinking, asking ourselves, what if it doesn't go to plan again? We're already thinking about it before the moment happens, or we're taking pills and it becomes more about a strategy, like a pill taking strategy or maths. If I take this at this time or this at this particular time in this sequence, then everything should go to plan. If we're doing these kind of things or testing our erections in the morning, I remember for many, probably years, I did this wake up and I would check my, if I have a morning erection, everything's okay. Or at the point where I was still watching porn, I would be saying, okay, if I can get hard and get off to this, then it shows me that things are getting better. When we're in this zone of doing these self-tests and asking these types of questions, this is where it's more in the mindset space as opposed to medical.
So when you help guys who have labeled themselves as broken, perhaps unfixable, that they're the only ones with this problem, what's the first mindset or belief that you take on with them?
Safety. I would say safety in terms of, you know, what I was saying a moment ago about it felt really difficult to talk about this. And so I think the most important thing for me, first of all, is to let the guy know that they have a safe environment where we can talk about this, and it's okay to talk about it without judgment, without shame. I'll be very transparent and open about my own experiences with this as well, so that it doesn't feel like, I think by doing that, it helps to dissolve this feeling of it's just me going through this. So I'd say, aside from the tools, etc., that would be the very first thing, is like getting to this point of just relatability and safety, so it feels okay to open up about this.
And I've seen you talk and warn about the cycle of quick fixes, and I don't think a day goes by I don't see email or ads for some version of boner pills and magic solution. So what is harmful about that cycle?
It's crazy, isn't it? Some of the emails, it is literally every day the emails come through. It's harmful because our brain believes it. We want a quick fix. Of course, we don't want to have to speak to anybody about it. Of course, we want to be able to just stay behind a screen and to just put our details, oh, click this email, put our details in, and then we get something posted to us and everything's sorted. Or we watch a video on a particular breathing exercise. Or something I've seen recently is blue salt tricks. If you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, let me see what this blue salt thing is, it's another one of these 1 minute miracle fixes that don't actually work. There's always going to be something new out there. Do this and it will fix everything. A lot of it is marketing most of the time, but it plays into what our brain wants, safety, not having to feel vulnerable about this. And the sad part is we just get stuck in this trap of thinking that there's always the next thing. I feel like I'm just close to getting this sorted. If I can just find the thing that feels like it clicks for me, the next thing comes out, let me try that. The next thing comes out, let me try that. And we spend months, if not years, doing this. And the reality is the time that we spend, or the energy that we put into these quick fixes that don't actually work, is time that we could have spent genuinely getting this sorted for the long term. So this is the trap, and there's just so much of it out there, and it's not going away anytime soon, especially with AI, right? It's going to be becoming even more believable.
Yeah, I imagine there'll be, AI beautiful women doctors assuring you that whatever magical solution they're selling is the best thing for you, and
Yeah.
you're gonna have your fake AI testimony,
Yeah.
you're not gonna know
Well,
what
actually, one of the blue salt, when I had seen some guys were typing it in on Google, and I thought, okay, I'm going to look at what this thing is, and it was a total scam, marketing scam. But they had this very attractive AI woman, but it was very difficult to know that it was AI talking, selling this blue salt, and you just put here's the order form, and if you click here, put the payment details in, we'll send it to you. Yeah, I think these things are not going away. They're just getting more and more believable. But at the same time, we have to be honest with ourselves, and there comes a point where we have to say to ourselves, has any of this actually been working?
Right. So if you're a man, you're having challenges, performance issues, and maybe you've bought some junk that didn't work, didn't do anything, is this really something that a typical guy can solve on his own?
It depends if you want to take the hard route. I think if you want to take the hard, I solved it for myself, but it took me between nearly 5 years, and over 1,000 hours of my life. So many groups, so many books, so many trying different techniques. So yes, I do think it is possible, but it's hard, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
To do it for yourself. And I think we have to make a call on, and there's no guarantee with that either. There's no guarantee that we are going to find the right tools. We are going to find, if we're just purely doing it only by ourselves. It's much easier, and this is not a self-promotion, whether it's me or whoever, it's much easier to speak to someone who's actually been through this, who has got the track record of being able to get it sorted, and to receive some guidance around what to do. If I could have done that now, if I had have felt more confident to speak to someone about it and to find somebody who helped to fix this. There was doctors, okay, fine, but usually the recommendation from doctors is there's nothing wrong medically, it's in your mind, here's a pill, right? Because it's on the medical, that's the area for them, the speciality is the medicine. But on the mindset, there really wasn't that many people that I saw out there doing this. And so I just thought I had to figure it all out by myself. But if I was to go back in time now, oh, no way. There's no way that I would just pluck up the courage to have the first call with somebody, and to just say, okay, I'm going to realize that I haven't got the tools, I haven't got the knowledge right now, and this is stressing me out, and I want to get this sorted as quickly as possible.
Stereotypically, guys are really hesitant to ask for help about anything, but sexual issues, I'm sure it's even stronger. So, what do you think that compulsion not to admit the problem is? Is it fear, shame, something else?
I think a big part of it is our biology, that if we're seen as different to others, then if we go back to our ancestor times, if we're different, we can get kicked out of the tribe and we're left outside to fend for ourselves and probably die, you know? So I think there is a biological aspect to this, of any topic that brings up a heightened sense of vulnerability, shame, fear. We're always going to feel hesitant about that because it's our DNA. So I think that's part of it. Another part of it is, for the masculine, we want to be able to feel like we can fix things and achieve things and lock onto and get something focused. We can lock our focus onto something and complete the mission. That's also part of the masculine energy. So I think that plays into it as well. And then the other parts that contribute is just societal expectations around sex. Most of our sex education, unfortunately, is through porn. And all we see on there is guys usually that are with pretty big dicks, that never go soft. They're always ready, even after they've climaxed, still hard, ready to go. We never see a guy going soft in a porn movie. And then general movies on TV, romance movies, etc., all feed into this internal vision of, this is what sex should look like. This is the kind of intimacy that I should be able to deliver as a man. And if I'm not doing that, then it means that something's wrong with me. And we feel like we don't want to talk to anybody about that because it exposes a weakness, a perceived weakness. And the reality is, obviously, movies, people are cast for those roles. Porn, people are cast for those roles, and it's not reality. But that's one thing. What our brain thinks, or what we train our brain to think, is another thing.
So let's talk about the relational impact of this.
Yeah.
What do partners, and I mean, female partners, what might they misinterpret about a man who is struggling to, say, get an erection with them?
Yeah. So I think this shows up whether it's a heterosexual relationship, same-sex relationships. This seems to me a common pattern across any kind of long-term relationship, is that the partner can think it's because of them. Is this what I find very interesting is the questions that the partner will be asking themselves are very, very similar to the questions that the guy is asking themselves, but nobody speaks about it to each other. So the partner will be asking often things like, is it because of me? Is there something wrong with me? Am I not doing it right for them? Am I not able to satisfy them in the way that they want? Maybe they're not attracted to me anymore. Maybe things aren't going well in the relationship anymore. These are some of the thoughts, right? The partner it's natural for them to take it as they'll start judging themselves about it. And honestly, a lot of the time that's happening because there's no conversation. There's no conversation to offer reassurance, or it's kind of been the same thing over a period of time without any differences or changes, because the guy has been just trying the quick fixes or sticking with the stuff that's not really working all the time. And so it doesn't feel like things are shifting. So we can see why the partner, over time, if things are not really changing, why the partner may be thinking, I don't really think it's about the pills, it must be about me. It just kind of compounds that.
So are there any ideal questions a partner could ask to get that conversation going?
Yeah, a couple of things I would say is not to talk about it in the moment of sex. All right. This is general advice, but I really like this line that I heard from Esther Perel once, which is, nobody has better sex by talking about the kind of sex that they're not having. Or no one has better sex by talking about the kind of sex that they're not having. So what that would look like if we were doing that was, things haven't really gone to plan in the bedroom, and we're laying on the bed, and then we start talking about, oh, what was wrong? Why didn't it? I feel like we're not as connected as we used to be. We used to be more spontaneous, or we're not having sex as often as we used to. This is what we want to avoid. Laying in the place where we've just had an experience that didn't go to plan, and then talking about the kind of sex that we're not having. Right. So that's what we want to avoid. But what we do want to do, if we're the partner, what we do want to do is offer a sense of non-judgmental reassurance. Okay. It's clearly both people are aware that something's going on, whether it's the erection or climax issues. It's like the elephant in the room. Everybody knows about it, but nobody's speaking about it. And so the partner offering reassurance like, okay, we know this thing's going on. It feels uncomfortable. Okay. It feels uncomfortable to me, and I'm sure it feels uncomfortable to you as well. But I just want you to know that I'm here for you as you work through this, or as we work through this. Right. That's for the partner. Something along the lines of that is fantastic. Okay. And there's non-judgmental communication and being willing to go on the journey of, things not going perfectly all of a sudden as the guy is trying to work on this and get it sorted. It's not like overnight things are going to transform. This is a process. It doesn't need to be a long time, but over a period of 2-3 months, etc., it is possible to get it sorted within that time. But we have to be willing to go on that journey with our partner, rather than being stuck in the mindset of sex equals the penetrative act and ejaculation, and then that's what we get fixed and locked onto every time. And if that doesn't happen, then things haven't gone the way it should have done, and then we're back in the partner thinking, oh, why didn't we do that? Something went wrong. What's wrong with me? It's not working. Yeah. So I think this non-judgmental support is the best approach that a partner can take.
And do you always only work with the man having problems, or do you sometimes work with the couple themselves, or how's that work?
At this point in time, it's just with the guys, because many of the guys that I speak with, well, let's say 50% of them, 50% of them don't want to tell their partner that they're working on this. And the other 50% are totally transparent with their partner. So at this point in time, it's just with the guys, because the work can be done. The work is solo work. So the relational part of it, I can guide a guy on that anyway. That's okay. But the actual shifts that need to happen is for the individual. It's not when we were talking about erection challenges or performance anxiety, it's not the couple. There may be things later on down the line that the couple need to work on together, like communicating about sex, how to actually ask for what we want or explore new things in the bedroom. But the beginning stages of getting performance anxiety sorted, it's one-on-one work with the guy.
Gotcha. And are there unique pressures, expectations for gay or bi men that most straight guys just don't even consider or realize?
Gay men actually experience erection challenges statistically like 3 times more compared to heterosexual men, which I found very interesting when I found that out. I think this is to do with things are a lot more sex-based as part of the community. It's a lot more sex-focused, especially for gay men. And so there's a lot more, I would say, the thing that's heightened there is pressure to perform, to do well, because if not, the person's just going to go to somebody else. I would say because the culture is a lot more sex-based, not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, definitely compared to the heterosexual world, it just heightens the need to be a good performer.
And a lot of guys really tie their sense of masculinity to sexual performance.
Yeah.
How do you begin to untangle identity from that one function?
Yes. And one other thing that just came to mind on that last question was also the shame around sexuality. Right. So I think that's something that gay bi men experience that heterosexual men is not the same kind of experience. There can be different versions of it. So if we think about gay or bisexual men, there's a lot of cultural, societal shame still, right, around their sexuality. So this obviously feeds into performance anxiety, shame, pressure, etc., creates it can create a negative association with sex and intimacy, right? When we layer in those things on top. With heterosexual guys, what I find comes up the most often when it comes to shame around sexuality is if we've been caught at a younger age, right? Caught masturbating or caught exploring with friends, things like this that are very natural at a young age, but it's shamed by the authority figure in that moment. What are you doing? That's wrong. That's bad. You can't be doing that. Or they're caught exploring with friends and then severely punished for that. And it is layering in, whether it's this or abuse, it's layering in this sense of shame around sexuality at a young age. And then we start to put those two things together. To answer that second question around identity, so the question was, how do we decouple the
that masculine identity being tied to sexual performance?
I think a good place to start is by quitting porn. Honestly, I'm just sharing my own thoughts of as I've gone on this journey myself. The things that I would say have been the most helpful is reducing, at the very least, reducing the amount of porn that I'm watching, so I'm not drilling this identity tag into my mind. The other thing was also exploring where are other areas of my life where I do this. If I don't do well in this area, then it means I'm a failure. So I was doing this a lot in business, in my professional life, and I didn't realize that I was doing that in my professional life. And it was the very same pattern that I was doing in my sexual life, right? If I'm not good enough to satisfy the other person, then I've failed. I was thinking the same thing in my business life. If I'm not good enough to achieve this promotion or do this business, then I've failed. So I think my advice here would be for us to be able to detach this masculine identity with sex, we have to go one step broader than that and look at where am I applying this performative based mindset in other areas of my life, and how do I realize that actually it doesn't matter how I show up in business, how I show up in the bedroom is not a determination of who I am at a soul level, who I am as a human being. What I bring to the table, the qualities that I bring to the table, the integrity that I have, or the things that I value. You know, our bedroom performance or our business performance is not attached to those things. But I had to realize that myself because I totally did not see that before.
Right. Yeah. So any set of temporary circumstances are not a reflection of who we truly are.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think we have to understand ourselves a bit deeper, and we have to see where we're doing these patterns that are harming us or holding us back. Because when we're just looking through the lens of this, if I don't achieve X, then I've failed. To be honest, it probably starts at a very younger age in life where if we didn't get the grade, then it felt like we failed because love was taken away from us. Right. So I think this is we learn that pattern from a younger age, and then we do it to ourselves when we're older. Yeah, I would say what do you think? That's what comes to my mind. What do you think about this?
Yeah, that all makes sense to me. And yeah, is there a most common kind of aha moment that your clients have?
Yeah, I like this. I love your questions. By the way, this is a very unique question. So thank you for putting the thought into this. Okay, the two moments, I would say there's two ones that come to mind. Number one would be, we spoke about some things from childhood. At the beginning, when I'm speaking with the guy, there's a resistance to want to go there, right? We think, oh no, it's nothing to do with what's going on in my life now. I also thought this for a long time, didn't experience any abuse or real trauma when I was younger. So we kind of discount that and we think there's nothing to explore there. Part of us doing that is protecting ourselves. And then when we start to realize, oh, there's a few experiences there where the thought pattern seems very similar to the thought pattern that's showing up today in the bedroom, totally different context, nothing to do with sex, but still performance based. That's a aha moment, definitely, of being able to broaden the perspective of seeing this is not just something that's randomly shown up out of the blue. It's been going on for a while in other parts of our life. So that would be one. And then another one would be realizing that most of the times we're actually putting ourselves in sexual situations that don't do it for us, that are not, that don't feel like we're actually getting turned on by it. But we're pushing and forcing ourselves because we think it's what we should be doing. If I'm a real man, then I should be having sex X amount of times a month. But the reality is that the way in which we're having intimacy is either dull, boring, or there's no feedback. It just feels like it's a duty. And a big realization is, oh shit, the type of intimacy that I'm having is not actually the kind of intimacy that I enjoy.
So I know that you have lived and worked all around the world. What strikes you in different cultures? How different versions of masculinity impact performance anxiety? And like, have you worked with people that are in like arranged marriages or just other cultural differences from
Yeah.
kind of what the norm?
Yeah, I've worked with guys in Europe, US, Middle East, Australia, Asia. So yeah, I feel like I've had a very broad experience of guys from around the world. To be honest, a lot of it is very similar in terms of the thought patterns that we're going through and the reason of why this has shown up in the first place. But yes, there are cultural differences that I've noticed, most down to, I would say, academics and religion, with some cultures pushing more the need to perform very, very well at school or else you're a failure compared to all the other kids. And with other cultures, with religion being masturbation's a sin, sex before marriage is a sin. Yeah, whether it's that or that we need to live life by God or Allah, whoever the religious figure is, I would say these are the two biggest areas of intensity that can differ by culture, religious and academic.
If every man listening now has had any sort of sexual performance issue, what is one truth you wish they got?
Normal, and it's okay. It first of all, regardless of whether we're experiencing performance anxiety or not, it's absolutely normal to have fluctuations in our erections or in climaxing. Okay, there's so many factors that can play a part of that. Did we have a good night's sleep? What did we eat? Did we work out? Did we not? So I imagine well, let's just focus in on erections for a moment. I imagine that on a scale of 0 to 10, right, between around seven or 8 out of 10. That's where we generally want our erections to be. There's going to be times where it's going to be 8, 9, or 10 out of 10, and there's going to be times where it's lower based on those factors that we've spoken about. But that fluctuation there of between 6 to 10 or 7 to 10 is absolutely normal. It's just not what we believe should be happening. So to bring this to life, if we were kissing, making out with our partner on the couch, and then we go to the bedroom and we lose our erection on the way to the bedroom, we think, oh my God, something's wrong with me. I need to get back in the zone and get hard again, so that they don't think that anything's wrong. Or if our partner says, I'm just going to be 2 minutes and go to the bathroom, and then we're laying on the bed freaking out, thinking I've got to stay hard, because they've got to see that I'm ready to go as soon as they come back out of the bathroom. It's the stimulation has stopped in those moments, in those pauses. So it's absolutely normal for our erection to fluctuate in those moments. And so I think the truth that I would love guys to know is it's normal, and it's important that we know it's normal for our erections to fluctuate. Every single guy experiences this. It's not what we see on porn. It's not what we see on the movies, but every single guy experiences that. And if we're experiencing prolonged erection or ejaculation challenges over a period of months or years, the other truth I would say is it is okay to ask for help and to feel like we don't know the answers. You don't need to know the answers. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems really crucial to realize that what most of us think is normal has been so horribly influenced by the very abnormal fake world of porn.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I see for example, I've worked with guys from 17 up to mid 70s. The younger guys, especially, I seriously see porn being it is a much bigger influence on what's going on with their erection challenges. So unfortunately, I don't anticipate this challenge to be getting any easier, especially with the younger generation, because they've grown up on porn, instant access to porn. And
Right.
going back to
Porn's
that,
literally in their hands all the time. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, Shay, what's the best way for people to connect with you and learn more?
Okay, so yeah, I think if you've listened to this and if parts of it feel like it resonates, then I think Andy will put a couple of links below. You'll see the link to the website where you can read some stories from other men that have gone through this as well to see if that feels relatable, and also a link to the performance anxiety quiz. So, we spoke earlier on about this, the 1 minute miracle or this instant fix trap. A lot of the time when we're just behind our screen watching endless videos online, we're stuck in this generic information trap. Is not specific to what's going on for us personally. So actually, to be able to get it sorted, we have to know how we've got here in the first place. That's our route to getting this fixed. So this free quiz that I've created is 10 yes or no questions that will show you exactly that. Is it performance anxiety or is it something else? And how did you get to this point so that you know what to do to be able to get it actually sorted for the long term.
Cool. And Shay, are you active in any particular social media at all?
YouTube, yes. Just YouTube, but that's the place. Yeah. So YouTube, you find a lot of videos just around everything to do with this: sex, erections, climaxing, performance anxiety.
Beyond the realm of sex, what's one thing that you wish more men knew?
Beyond the realm of sex. The first thing that came to my mind is to break out of the box. I'm just sharing this as it is in my thoughts forming now. So breaking out of the box of, I think a lot of us can live our lives determined by how we think we should be living our life. What other people have said to us, others that have influenced us, what we see on the TV, etc., what we believe it is to be a man, or even broader than that, a human. And I would say challenge that. To challenge it in the sense of going back to what are some of the things that make you feel the most alive in life. I feel aliveness is so important. If we're not growing and doing new things and feeling alive, then we're dying inside. I think, taking some time to, whether it's writing or going for a walk in the forest or whatever, to think about and reflect on what are some of the things that I do that I know that I really love. The answers are there. It's not difficult to find those answers. We know instinctively what those things are. And then actually making more time to do those things, to start building back a sense of aliveness. I just think I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. It's so easy now with technology. It's, yes, great. There's so many advancements, is wonderful, but it makes things so convenient and comfortable for us. It's so easy to just stay inside or stay behind a screen and lose a sense of our connection with the world, our connection with others, our connection with ourselves, or how it feels to truly feel alive. And I think doing those things, reconnecting with that sense of inner aliveness and actually making that a priority, giving time to that. We don't even have to do much. I think it's just giving time to it. And it just feels, I believe you can relate to that as well. And it just feels wonderful. There's no feeling like it.
Well, Shay, thanks so much for joining us today. And thanks for doing the work on yourself so that you could help others do the work quicker, easier, better results. As you already said, unfortunately, I'm sure the need for your services isn't going away anytime soon.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for your time and for the questions as well.
Shay Doran, thank you so much for bringing your honesty, your clarity, and your compassion regarding a topic that destroys way too many men from the inside out. If you're listening and you've struggled with performance anxiety or ED, please hear this. You are not broken. You are not alone. And you don't have to just white knuckle your way through this. You can learn more about Shay's work at shay-doran.com. And as always, if this episode stirs something in you, don't stay silent. Join me and other men committed to living with authenticity, courage, and connection in my online community, Authentic AF. Learn more at realmenfeel.org/group. And until next time, be good to yourself.